Unicorns and glitter and taxidermy critters are just some of the things they like. They also enjoy 80s hair bands, Grizzly Adams and John Goodman, so if you think that's weird then you can take a hike. But the things they enjoy the most are making art and cracking jokes, so without further ado, here are your hosts. You've got your two artsy gals, your two artsy gals. Here are your two artsy gals.
Hey listeners, this is Katie. So we did our first interview with our new Tascam recorder on location in Hubbard, Oregon. We interviewed Lonnie's friend Rachel Graves, who is an amazing yarn dyer and fiber artist, and you're going to hear that in just a moment, and you're going to love it. It was a super fun time. As I said, we used our new recorder for the first time. So, first lesson learned as I was editing, don't set your cell phone down close to the recorder. There are little bits of feedback here and there. They're not super bad, but noted. I will never do that again. So there's that, and we forgot to give you all of our contact information and stuff at the end of the show. So I'm doing that now, and actually from now on, it is going to be at the head of the show. Lonnie and I are going to record something for that next week. We're just going to throw it all out there at the beginning of the show. Anyway, so you can reach us at twoartsygals@gmail.com if you want to email us with show ideas or comments about the show, or you want to share some things that you've been working on. We absolutely love seeing that stuff, and we love to share it with the rest of our listeners. So please do that. You can also call us at 503-395-7190 and leave us a fun voicemail, and we'll play it on the show, because that'll be really cool. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on the Twitter. We're Two Artsy Gals on all of those places, and you can follow us there, and we post stuff when we remember. There's always stuff on Facebook, though, and we make most of our major announcements on Facebook, and we announce contests sometimes, so please check that out. Let me see. What else? Oh, you can subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher, and now you can use the new Podomatic app and listen to our podcast, which is where we host all of our content is hosted there. You can also listen to other amazing Podomatic podcasters. So check that out for sure. And I guess without further ado, here you go. Hey everybody, this is Katie.
This is Lonnie.
And you're listening to Artsy Gals!
Yay!
So, this is our first time that we're doing a on-location interview.
Yeah.
With our new recorder.
We took a road trip. I went past the exit. I forgot to tell you this. We went 10 miles south and then came back.
Oh, wow.
And took the scenic route.
Yeah. We were talking and then I was like, oops, I missed the exit.
Like all the way to Brooks.
Or yeah, like Kaiser exit.
Oh no! We got the little jibber jabbery.
Yeah.
I was telling you that awful story though about that podcast thing that I was listening to that was like so gut wrenching.
Yes.
And then so we were like, oh, and then I kind of brought the mood down a little. So we had to correct.
Yeah, we did.
That's what that was.
Yeah, it was.
So we should introduce Rachel Graves.
Hello.
She is an awesome fiber artist, and we're just going to talk to her about the awesome things that she does. Like, really awesome. So, what exactly is it? Like, what do you do? What is your business? Because I don't really know.
I hand dye yarn.
Hand dye yarn, and you sell on the internet?
Yes.
Awesome. Where can people find your yarns?
At wantonfibers.com.
Wanton Fibers. So I'll put links in our blog, so everybody can go there and find it. I've been taking some pictures of some of the knitting that she does, and I'm super jealous of her knitting skill. It's gorgeous. Yeah. And her embroidery skill makes me feel like I'm a bit of an oaf. Now, like, I felt okay about my embroidery skill until I got here, and I'm like, look at those delicate little French knots. Oh my god, they're so pretty. Mine are like, and I have big loops on the back.
I saw your embroidery when you guys were doing that project. No, you guys have like really cool, like you actually designed things and did drawings and stuff embroidery. I'm always very fussy, which is a thing. It can be interesting.
I
but-
only
kind of
allow myself to be fussy about certain things, because if I let myself be as fussy as I want to be about everything, I get nothing done ever.
Well, as you can see, I am not fussy about my housekeeping or anything else. I save all of my fussiness.
You should see my house.
What happens in my studio.
When Lonnie comes over sometimes, I'm like, dude, we're just going to pretend my kitchen isn't here and don't breathe when you walk past it, because it does stink. So that's what I do.
But you were like trained. You went to the Oregon College.
I went to Oregon College of Arts and Crafts.
I want to go there. Wanted to go there so bad.
I
Can't afford it though. You're probably still paying for it.
I dropped out. I have this problem. I go for 2 years where you get all the like great technical skills, and then it turns into like thesis masturbatory bullshit.
I get off on
And
that.
I'm like,
There's-
$20,000 a year for this? I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Did
then
you do that at the
Oh yeah.
craft college?
Of course.
I didn't know that.
Because you
just-
have to
I
do
don't know
certain
anything
things
about it.
to be accredited
Yeah,
as a
okay.
college. Like there have to be certain elements to the programs.
Ah.
So, but it is kind of like
I had already like gone to college other places for
Uh-huh.
years and had a lot of my like core stuff out of the way, so I didn't take writing or math
Yeah.
there.
So were you already doing some fiber art before you went to school there?
What was I doing when I went to school there?
You did dolls
I
for a
actually,
while, right?
yeah. It's
Yeah.
long ago. I was a bookkeeper, and then I started hand painting these Asian ball jointed dolls, which is one of those things that
Wow.
kind of only exists on the internet. Like there's this crazy hardcore
plus
community.
the internet. You can
I know.
sell something to everyone. Like really.
There are these Japanese dolls. They're a couple $1,000s a piece.
That's
they're very
insane.
kind of
Yeah, they're
anime
beautiful.
styled.
Yeah.
They're
They
amazing.
are really quick because I've never seen them. Keep talking, but I'm like,
Yeah, they're gorgeous. And
I
like the
think there's a photo of, like, at least one of the things you've done, or one of the dolls, right? Or it seems like you showed me.
They're around.
Yeah.
I was in a magazine at one point. That's probably got more good photos than anything else.
Holy
I'll show it to you guys
shit.
before you leave. But
like these. Hold on, let me pull the image.
they're beautiful.
Yeah.
I got super into airbrushing, so
That
yep.
that is. They look like people.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
buy
they're
them
beautiful.
essentially unpainted. They're made of resin. And you put in glass eyes, and then there's this whole market for artists who do face-ups, basically, where you airbrush their color on their face and shading on their body. And I did that for years. Like, I was an early one in the U.S. to, like, get into doing
That's
it. So-
amazing.
What?
See, don't look when I was a bee with him. See? And then the bee
This
was
is Rachel's son, Larkin, stopping by to say hi.
He's informing us on
Yeah.
stuff that he's doing. Okay, that's creepy. The one without
Without the eyes.
Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's I have a little bit of doll phobia sometimes. That's pushing a button. I'm going to close that picture right now. And just go like that. Pretend I didn't see
It
it.
was a whole thing. It was really interesting.
That's
I
amazing.
did
I've
that
never
for-
heard of him, but
Nobody has.
They're
I recently
gorgeous.
ran into somebody who knew exactly what I was talking about, and that was the first time in person I had ever like met a person who knew what I was talking about.
Wow. So did you make a living doing that for a
I
while?
had a really good living. doing
Yeah.
that for a
I was
while.
going to
Yeah.
say, if you sell them for like $2,000 a piece, bam.
I was selling them for like $5,000 and $6,000 a
That's
piece for a while. Like it
awesome.
definitely, there was a peak happening. Like it was really hard to get them from Japanese artists in the U.S.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause
So, and I was like early to do it, so there was definitely a sweet spot, and it was super fun. But eventually, like, it got very saturated. Like, there
Like it
started to
always
be
does.
lots of knockoff dolls that weren't. I mean, it became really overwhelming, and
Yeah.
everyone was doing face ups, and there were really good people doing face ups. And I don't know, maybe I have a short attention span. I was kind of getting burnt out on it.
I think when you focus on one thing, I don't know, for me anyway, when you focus on one thing exclusively all the time, it does get like, meh.
And I get pretty
After a
focused,
while.
and I did it for 4 or 5 years.
That's awesome. Wow.
And, it's the internet. So eventually there's, like, these snarky forums popping up where
I
they're
don't look at
just,
those.
like,
People are assholes.
Critiquing
and pretty soon
things
there's,
that-
like, just whole threads about, like, how much I suck. And, like, I had never really encountered anything like that
Ouch.
before.
That's
like, I don't
awful.
Google myself anymore. I don't ever want to know what
No.
anybody has to say. it ruined everything. Like, it made it really hard to not, like, second guess what I was doing all the time.
And that's why I'm so glad, like, knock on wood, we've never really had nasty comments for the podcast.
Yeah.
But I think, like, for the first few episodes, I'm like, look, one of the first things I said was, don't post shitty things because I will delete them. So don't even bother. Like, you can leave comments, but don't be mean. But you can't control that on the internet.
Right.
No.
But people are awful.
With fibers, I just had zero experience with that. Everybody's nice.
That's, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because there are little certain niches of, like, the crafting world where people are pretty psychotic
I'm sure.
about stuff. Like, I'm sorry, quilters, but...
there's that huge farmer's wife quilt-along. Have you heard about this?
No.
There's thousands and thousands of people doing it online together, and I'm in that. That's what those quilt blocks in my studio are. So that's a pretty good, like...
Yeah, but you guys are probably, like, super cool with each other.
There's, people get dramatic about not...
Yeah.
About wanting to quit, rage quitting and blah, 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 just over the project. But people are nice to each other.
So,
there's not a lot of, like, this person is too... Nobody does that.
No, but
you
I've
work
been in
in
situations
craft.
where,
Yeah,
like,
none of that. Yeah,
we're like
no.
quilters. I just sew fashion clothes. I don't quilt because I have never joined two pieces of fabric for a quilt and made them line up right. And I eventually just go, well, fuck this. I'm not doing it. I throw it over my shoulder. But I've been in situations where, like, hardcore crazy town quilters are weird about other sewers.
Probably.
Like, in a fabric store, I'm not bagging on quilters at all. I'm just saying that there are weird, people get territorial, I guess. Maybe that's not the word I'm looking for. People get weird about their specific craft.
Totally.
And you're like, oh, whoa, well, I'm just in here buying this. I had a lady at a fabric store. I was buying fabric for a dress. I like using cotton for my clothes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like cotton dresses. It feels nice. It's easy. It doesn't take a lot to care for it. And she's like, you can't use that on a dress. And I'm like, I can't?
Yeah. There was
Why?
like
She's
that
like,
stigma about...
quilting. And I'm like, blow me.
This dress is
It's going to
quilting
be a
cotton.
quilted dress. How about that?
I felt that way for a long time, too. But the whole idea of using, like, plain cotton muslin type prints for dresses is not new.
No.
That's what I grew up in. That's what my mom
Dude, that's
always
what my
made
mom
me.
wanted. That's what
Yeah.
you could afford
So
at the
house
fabric
dresses
store.
were made
Exactly.
from forever.
Yeah.
So
And they had the fun prints. Like, I wanted the one with the bunny rabbits on it. Or
Well, that was
whatever.
my focus.
quilters' cottons are heavier.
Yeah.
They have more. I
But
mean,
they make a nice pleat. Cause
if you want like a
dresses,
skirt that's
Yes.
going to have some body,
I
they're
love
great.
that texture to it.
Yeah, it's nice. It
The weight of the
hides
fabric.
a lot of things I
Yes.
found. Like, I've gone to
Hot
stiffer and
some
stiffer
lumpy bits.
cottons because I don't want anything clean.
The
and
squishier I
drippy.
get, the stiffer the fabric I wear. That's how it goes.
Yeah, and I've discovered pin tucking also adds
Yep.
like so much body to
Mhm.
skirts, and you can, I mean, in the 50s they just all wore petticoats, which I think is the next. That's
Yeah,
going to be the
that's what
next
I
step
need.
for
I
me.
could
I
totally
think.
do that.
Yeah, a good petticoat.
I just
For real.
rewatched the whole. I binge watched Mad Men when I was doing a knitting project.
Oh my god, that gives me such a fashion boner. Like, seriously.
It's just, at the end of it, I feel like we're such slobs.
We
Like,
are
we
such
should
slobs.
drink and smoke so much more, and
Right?
we should
And
dress
wear
so much
nicer
nicer.
clothes.
And like, why don't I put my hair up? I just
Right?
That's right.
we're like such disgusting slobs.
We
now.
are horrible people. We really are. We're just like, and my mother, seriously, you've met my mom. She's
Yeah.
insane. She thinks she's Donna Reed. Like, she lives in a different era that we do. Like, when we were raised, I was raised in a really weird way. Like, my mom wanted to be a homemaker, and she would, like, bake things and have them fresh at home. And, like,
I was raised-
but on the other end of the spectrum, if you pissed her off, it was like this whole Jekyll Hyde thing.
wow.
she would be like,
our mom should.
I was just going to swear, but her kid ran in the room. I was so glad I put the brakes on that, because I was going to say something really vile. But, like, we called her Genghis Mom. Because she was so, like, she would get in her little truck that she couldn't drive, because it was a stick shift, and hop this big Ford truck all the way to the park, and it would clear. Everybody went home. Oh God, Joy's coming. But she really, I think she made me those, like, she forced me to wear some crappy clothes that I thought were crappy when I was a kid. Because she made all my little dresses and stuff, and I fucking hated them then, but now look at
Gunny
that.
sacks. My mom compulsively sewed me gunny sacks dresses.
My mom made like the little pleats and the crisp 50s look, and then she made me one year, and they were in, but I hated them because I was kind of a tomboy. What are those fucking knickers? Do you remember when knickers were a big fashion thing in grade school?
Really?
Everybody had a pair of goddamn knickers.
With the elastic around the
Yeah,
calf?
no, my mom made them with the little button around the cuff under the knee, so I couldn't pull them up. And I had like 3 pairs of corduroy knickers, and I hated them.
My mom was adverse to like 70s. Like when I was in grade school, it was all crop pants, like zippered ankles.
We had some crops, yeah.
My mom hated those.
yeah.
She was all 70s obsessed. So I would be like the kid in the
Bell
bell
bottoms.
bottoms in the 80s.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But you know how traumatic it was to wear
Yeah.
bell bottoms in the 80s?
Oh, yeah. My
People were
grandma
like, "Oh, what
sewed
are you
polyester
wearing?"
ones.
Yeah,
with
like-
elastic waistband, and there was the horrid Oh,
Thank God I have
It gets
sensitive
caught in my
skin
butt
because I would
cheek.
get polyester rashes and I didn't have to wear that shit.
You'd have to get out of the house, and then you'd do the whole like elaborate folding tuck
Folding,
roll
tuck
of your
roll, yeah.
pant legs, so you could. You didn't.
That's
That's normal, but it helped.
Or you'd have to do that to ride your bike because they would get caught in your freaking bike chain,
And then make
and
you
then you
wreck
bite it.
and
Yeah,
eat gravel.
Like these are
Gravel
dangerous
face.
pants, Mom. Please stop making me wear these. Yeah, rude.
Moms, seriously, consider ease of use when you're designing clothing for your children. I used to just get holes in the knees of everything, and my mom would be like, "This was it. I just bought these tights for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, why do you keep doing that?" I'm not gonna stop getting holes in the knees of them because I do stuff. She really wanted me to be like a real proper girl in a pleated skirt that she made and sewed and ironed and pressed and.
We were like a total like farm Mennonite family, so we had like play clothes and dress clothes, like Sunday
My mom
clothes,
wanted me to play with dolls and have tea parties.
My mom was like bizarrely tomboyish about that stuff.
I was all like, I'm
Yeah,
climbing
my mom-
trees and doing shit. I always flipped the bird in case, you know. I forget that people can't see what we're doing. Thank God they can't, though. I would be really embarrassed and sad about
I would
something.
never
do
consented to
YouTube.
She would have been like, fuck you, no.
YouTube format now.
No.
So what other crafty things have you
Yeah.
done?
Oh my god.
So many, huh? You make soap.
I do make soap. I made wedding cakes for a while.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
long ago. So I can do, and you know, I don't know, I tend to get obsessed with things, so I get way into it, and I was doing like sugar paste roses and all that. So I did that
I'm
for a
so
while.
jealous of that.
Yeah.
Making wedding cakes is too stressful.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
dealing
Yeah.
with-
The clients that you're...
Well,
yeah.
I never, like, I made it for people, I did them for people I knew, and so, I mean, it was pretty low-key in
I mean,
that,
still
low-key
there's,
in that
like,
respect, but
The pressure of you're making someone's wedding cake.
yeah,
They're going to remember
it feels
forever.
like the stakes are so high,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
you know, I would sit there, because I was always going to the weddings, too, because there were people I knew, and all I
You'd
could
sit
think
there and
about
stare at
was,
the
like,
cake.
What do people think
that
of
there was,
cake?
like, some mark somewhere on the,
Like,
you know,
I'm going
like,
to go brush that off.
yeah. No, so, it didn't fit super well.
People always
with
ask me why I don't do like wedding dresses and stuff because I sew, and I'm like, no, that is just too high pressure.
At the end of the day, I don't like, and like, same with dolls, the most steady source of work was doing commission work, painting other people's doll heads, but I don't like doing what other people want me
No,
to do.
neither do I.
Like, it's
Yeah.
really soul crushing for me.
You know, it is.
I-
I don't think people understand that, but
It's the same reason that partially that I'm not wholesaling my yarn, because you just get pushed into this whole like repeating colorways and doing the yarns. I just want to do whatever I want to do. I don't know.
you just want to make it pretty.
Because you're
Whatever,
creative,
but-
you want to use your creativity and...
So I did cakes. I went to Marylhurst for a few years for interior design, so I was into that for a while.
It's awesome.
And then I changed my major to fine art and painting, so I do quite a bit of illustration. I started with watercolor, but really
hanging in there, the
yeah.
carrots and stuff?
They're beautiful.
Wow.
I'm taking pictures of them.
Yeah.
I like to illustrate. Like, I wish I did that more, but I can't do
you're so
everything.
good.
It's so hard to make time to do all the things that you want
It
to
is.
do.
I spun for a while, and I decided to quit doing that. Like, something has to go, and I like really refined yarn, and hand spinning wasn't that. So I got rid of that, so I could have more time to do other things. I sew a lot of apparel, and now I'm starting to quilt. I embroider.
For a while you made the pads.
Oh, yeah. There was the whole cloth menstrual pad thing.
Yeah. You did that for probably quite a while, huh?
That was kind of more of a sweatshop
Sweatshop
situation.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel that creative. But it was a good thing. I mean, I always felt good about doing that.
Yeah.
It felt like a productive, responsible thing to do. But I couldn't sit there at my sewing machine anymore.
Yeah.
I needed to do something else. I would like to do more fiber art. And that's part of why I've been messing with embroidery and quilting so much. Is because I like to paint. I like to draw. I like the whole 2D figural sort of stuff. And I think that there's a whole multimedia thing that I would like to do with quilted backgrounds and fabric painting and embroidery. I think that there's. I
can't
really
see it
feel
right
like
now, but there's a fireworks show happening in my
this.
brain.
I know that this is what I want to do. I really want to do
beautiful.
illustration in textiles, basically, with so I've been really obsessed with heirloom sewing techniques. I collect old sewing books that, all that crazy drawn embroidery and stump work and all that stuff. And I don't know, I just kind of have been playing in all that stuff for a few years. I weave a little bit, although I don't have a loom, so I haven't done it much since school. But I don't know, I want to get out from under the yarn dyeing at some point. I'd like to make it more efficient so that I have...
So you have more time to do it.
I need to get a better studio set up so that I can spend more time making more what I consider to be fiber art. So
that's
I
amazing.
would like to build a portfolio. I would like to actually have shows and do things.
Oh, yeah, you totally could. Yeah.
But I don't have enough of a portfolio to do anything at this point. I need to... But, oh my God, time. And
time, and then you have kids.
You have the little one.
Yeah. 4-year-old. Your time, and it's hard to do anything with a 4-year-old.
Yep. This
year
is the best it's been. He's getting more self-directed, but no.
So you're getting there. Closer.
It's getting closer. This is the first I've been able to knit since he was born, really. It's just the last 2 months. Before, it was just an invitation for him to come climb on my lap if I got out my knitting. So it's getting better, but...
So have you always knitted?
No.
No? Did you take classes, or did you teach yourself?
I taught myself. I started teaching myself probably 12 years ago. But I sucked at knitting half of that time, I would say.
Yeah.
So it took about 5 years to really...
Yeah, I thought that I haven't really been a competent knitter till the last probably 3 years is when... And there comes a point when you can read your own knitting and you can go fix weird lace stitches that are way down in your work. And I mean, once you can, I don't know, something just happened, something clicked where I understand my knitting forwards and backwards now. And now I feel like I'm a competent knitter, but it took forever.
That's how it was when I started crocheting. There was a time when I was oh, I know what I did there. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Fix,
that was a huge thing.
It is a big deal when you're at that point. And I think troubleshooting and being able to fix shit is what makes the difference.
Yeah, my knitting projects generally are mistake-free now, I was knitting this giant, Jared Flood round shawl forever. It was one of, early knitting projects, and it was just mistakes everywhere. It was just a horror show.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to fix them. I could barely identify them. It's just, something is weird.
Yeah, it's really hard, because, knitting, I've been doing for about 2 years. I took one class at Joann's because I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, why it was so hard. And I walked in there and I sat down and the lady goes, "You're trying to crochet. That's why you can't knit. Here." And she moved stuff around and I was like, "Oh."
Do you knit English style or continental style?
No,
do you know okay, when you're knitting, are you kind of throwing the yarn around?
Around, yeah.
See, I started that way. A lot of people do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've seen that there are other ways that you can do it.
I switched midway. So I actually got okay at knitting, and then I switched to continental style, which is essentially crocheting style.
I saw that.
And that ruined my tension for years. Switching was hard, but it's totally worth it, especially if you want to do Farrow, where I basically knit English style with one yarn in one hand and continental with the other. But,
my head just exploded a little bit. I just went, what?
That's stranded, we're using different colors of yarn at the same time in the same
row.
Okay,
yeah.
So if you know how to knit both ways, then that becomes a lot easier. But you say you're a crocheter, and I think you should be knitting continental style because then you're holding and tensioning your yarn
and
much the same way as crochet,
yeah.
so it's really easy.
Well, and I also, because my husband's grandmother taught me to crochet, and then I continued on and taught myself, and I hold my yarn really weird. Like, I have developed this weird way of holding my yarn, and when I try to teach other people how to crochet, they're like, what are you? Because I lock it to tension it in these fingers like this while I'm doing it. It's weird, but it works for me. But it's just like this. My husband's grandma was like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I'm just crocheting. But I think that's why I had so much trouble trying to learn to knit for so long, because I crochet and I crochet well now, but I don't do it right. Technically right. I've just developed this weird way of like, and my finger, I've tried to break myself of it, because my finger, I give myself trigger thumb. And my finger gets really sore. And so I've tried to, but I always slip back into this like weird, just this like, it looks strange.
So how's your knitting tension now?
My knitting tension, because I do it on the other side, is totally fine now. Like I do, what is that again? So it's
English style or throwing.
Throwing. That's how I do it. And the tension, I've worked through the beginner tensioning, like where it goes, and you're like, what is happening right here? I've worked through that. Again, I get weird holes and I don't know where I got them. I've got the number of stitches that I'm supposed to have, and I'm like, why is there a hole here?
I know, there's like
I didn't drop a
there's
stitch.
years where you can't figure that shit out. Like but you'll eventually.
Yeah, I don't feel so bad about like the sweater I'm working on for my son is for snowboarding. So he's just it's never gonna get washed. It's probably gonna live in the bottom of a bag. And he's gonna have stuff on over the top of it. And he wears all black anyway, so it's not like he's gonna wear this black sweater and have a white shirt on or anything. People will be like, why does your sweater have holes? They're snowboarders. They'll be like, my mommy made it for me. Shut up. And that'll be the end of it. But it's not pretty. I
wonder if it's similar to the thing where when I was playing bass guitar and then I learned how to sing and play at the same time, there was like this
boom.
Like I couldn't do it, and then all of a sudden it just clicked. And then now I can still do that.
Yeah, probably.
But it's like, so yeah, like with knitting or when you're learning something, it's like stumble, and then something just
Things take time.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like I realize it's like I try and do too many different types of things, and then you don't get very good at any of them. I mean, you look at like artists that are amazing, and they'll spend a year in their studio making the same fucking thing, essentially.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get good at something.
I think I told you once I thought that I had crafting ADD. Because I get...
No,
I
do
have
that
to
too.
get up and
I
move. I have to
different.
do something like...
Yeah.
Like I work on something for a while, and then I can't fucking look at it anymore. It makes me not want to do it.
Well, and I'm very phasey. Like, I'll go through 3 months where I just, like, eat, sleep, and breathe this.
Like
and then,
this thing, yeah.
And then it's like, no, I'm done with that right now. And I usually go back to it. But yeah,
Well, that's why I was saying, like, my yarn stuff, anything I do with yarn is seasonal for me.
Totally.
Like, I cannot make myself crochet and knit in the summer. It feels super gross.
Yep.
Your hands get sweaty, and then it messes with your tension. Like, it's just all icky.
Yep.
When you're too hot. And it seems weird. Like, why would you be knitting in the summertime? You don't need anything knitted in the summer. It's hot. Like,
I'm in awe of people who do, because then all of their knits are ready for winter.
Yeah.
Like, I always start knitting in winter, and then I finish all my projects up when it's too late to wear them, and then I have to wait a whole year.
I try to start in the fall. Like, once the temperature comes down a little bit. I start getting all sweatery and hatty and being all like, oh, yeah, let's knit something.
Yeah, there's usually a point in October where you have to start.
Mm-hmm. That's usually when I do start. It's October. I learned this year that's not enough time if you're making things for the Christmas.
Or a sweater. That's
or
so ambitious to me.
I do also, I have this, like, I have a problem where I think I can do that.
Oh, totally.
Sure, I can totally do that. And then I'm like, oh.
I knitted something for someone for Christmas this year. And it was given to them, completed on Christmas.
Boom!
And I only started 10 days before Christmas. I knitted like an entire fucking lace scarf. It was 700 yards. I mean, I tend to think about my knitting in yards.
That is insane.
I know. I have never actually.
So you
That's
just
insane.
like managed
to pull. Yes, I watched all of Downton Abbey.
Well,
which is like 40. I mean, that's
Do you do your
40, 50
knitting and
hours.
stuff when you're watching TV?
Yes.
That's what I do. I have my baskets. That's the only time I do it.
Uh-huh.
So
I
I'm in
don't.
front of the TV. I have a basket of my projects, and
so you don't have to look at what you're
I
doing.
do,
Okay.
and that's why I can't
Okay.
watch just anything. Like I had already
Okay, it
seen
has to be
Downton Abbey.
something that's like
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It
totally.
has-
dialogue heavy, so you're just
I
listening
can't
to-
follow too close, because I also, I'm always knitting lace pretty much, so I've always got like a chart. I use that J-Knit Lite program, which is amazing if you knit charted stuff on my phone.
I've not been able to do charted stuff.
It's
I
incredible.
have like the instructions. Like,
I
That's what I
can't
can
do
do,
instructions
but-
anymore. So I've always got like my phone here and my pattern and my iPad that I'm watching TV on, and that's, I mean, I pretty much have a rule. Like, I don't watch television if I'm not doing handwork. A rule that I am getting ready to impose on my screen-dependent daughter also, by the way.
Ah, yes.
I'm doing all this insanely scheduled test knitting, and I'm watching her just blow 8 hours staring at her phone. And Chloe is a competent knitter.
Is she?
Yes.
That's so
I'm like,
amazing.
you need to be test knitting for me. This is ridiculous. After she had spent the whole weekend on her phone at my parents' house. And so I handed her a big swatch project. I'm like, I want you to like cable. I want you to do all the lace stitches. And she did it, and I said her tension's perfect, and she knows that. She's got this little math brain, like knitting shorter, easier than it does for me.
I think that's why I
Wow.
struggled with it, because a math brain helps.
Dan, my husband knits too.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
I mean,
Especially with the knitting
nobody
family.
knits as much as I do, but my husband, but I can see that he could read his knitting immediately. So,
That's amazing.
and Chloe too. They're
Does
actually
she enjoy it?
Well, she's a kid. She's
Yeah,
a short
yeah.
attention span. It's
Yeah.
hard to get her to finish a project.
But she will be glad she knows.
I think so. And I
Yeah.
was mostly
Yeah.
checking. I think her attention and mine are similar at this point, so she doesn't even have to finish a project if we can go back and forth. But if I can just get hours out of her, then we can quit fighting about her phone use so much, because
Oh my god.
the whole time wasting thing pisses me off. Like,
Yeah.
it really bugs me. I see how much time that everyone's wasting.
Yes. It's
I mean,
big.
it's not like I don't do it too, although I try
Yeah.
not to. But yeah, like, why? You should be producing something.
That's the Afghan that I crocheted for
Oh,
my
that is
grandma.
awesome.
It's so cute.
Sir.
How big is
go
it?
over your lap? It's
It looks big.
yeah, it's not huge, but it's to go over your lap and your legs.
How long did it take you?
About a month and a half.
How many hours do you think?
Altogether, probably about 45, 50 hours. I don't know.
So it's faster.
Yeah, it is
than
fast.
knitting,
It's
but
pretty quick.
that's still a pretty significant time investment.
I was so proud of that. That's my knitting.
Nice.
It was in progress, and then shit happened. I don't know. It all went fucking sideways. I'm like, wait. It still looks okay, but if you hold it up to the light, you're like, wait, there's a hole there.
I should have brought it.
I totally should
probably
have,
could
but
tell you now.
you've probably been like, this is what you did. You're crazy.
So what was that? Were you talking about an app or something that like?
Yes, my very favorite app.
What's it called again?
J-Knit Lite. L-I-T-E.
J-Knit
It's
Lite.
basically just a PDF viewer. Like, you guys are on Ravelry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do Ravelry.
You can just, when you go to get a pattern out of your library on an Apple device, anyway, I don't know if it works on other ones, but when you go to open the PDF, there's that little bar that shows up. It's like, open in, and if you download J-Knit Lite, you can just open it in there, and it puts it in here. I'll show you.
Yeah, because I use just the regular, like, what is it? Just the one that comes with iBooks or whatever to read my...
Why
PDFs.
this one is cool, although there's probably other things that do it, but this is just the one I've been using forever.
See, I don't knit or crochet, so all this is like foreign to me.
There's this little bar that you can put, it's got to focus here for a second, and you can like change the size of that little bar to match the size on your, I made it too big, but anyway, so there, it's marking what line I am on my chart. And then when I move up, I just tap it and it keeps moving. Because keeping track of where you are on your chart was like the problem with knitting. Like,
Yeah.
I was always calling these
Okay.
things around and highlighting them and folding them and doing everything. And it's just here, and it always
See,
remembers.
I've never tried chart knitting, but I don't do color work or anything yet.
If you start knitting lace or cables, you'll
I
chart
love
knit.
doing. I like doing a scarf with
The
cables.
lace is
but
beautiful.
Cables are awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if it's very simple, I mean,
It's
if it's
super simple, just one
not
cable.
necessarily simple cabling, but if it's just like cable on stockinette or reverse stockinette.
Yeah,
maybe it
that's
won't
what I
be
was
charted.
doing. No, it wasn't charted. I was just also, I just make shit up as I go along when I'm trying to learn how to do stuff, which I think is a mistake sometimes, though, because that's how you get into the weird, like, I hold my shit weird when I crochet. Like,
They're just because, like, there's a bunch of methods that people have come up with and they've been publicized, but everyone came up with them. Like, have you seen Yarn Harlot? Do you know who she is?
No.
Stephanie.
maybe I do,
remember
and
last
I'm
name.
not familiar with the name.
She's a really fast knitter. And she has this whole tensioning method where they put the yarn around their necks.
I've seen that, yeah.
And they knit she knits totally differently. It's like, you have to go, like, YouTube it and look. I can't remember.
When we did our knitting episode, we did one about different knitting styles, and I can't remember the style, but they hold the knitting needles.
Yes, that's hers.
In
Under the armpit.
Under their
armpits.
armpits. And I'm like, what the fuck are they? It's like lightning.
And so then they're just...
Well, and this was sterile.
Yeah.
Like, it was the same thing. They had these knitting belts, and it had a leather pouch stuffed with horsehair, and it had holes, and you had a really long,
Like,
double-pointed
super
needle
long.
sticking out of it. And so one needle was stationary. Fair Isle sweaters are knit in the round, completely, traditionally. And essentially, they could knit with one hand while they were doing everything else, because sweater knitting, it wasn't a luxury, like, they needed sweaters, and
They needed
were
them
very
done
busy
quickly,
women.
and, yeah.
So this sweater was hanging there.
I'll
and they
find a
just
video
went
of
while they're
this and
walking.
post it on the blog, because it's insane to see.
That's
like,
so cool.
my brain
I would
was
love
like,
to see that.
I think that
Wow.
I was looking up around Christmas time. This is when I saw it, because I was looking for ways to knit faster.
Yeah.
And that came up, and I'm like, well, that's fast, but I have no fucking idea what they're doing. This is like a magic right now.
And what did you call that? Fair Isle? Or no, that's something else.
Well,
or no.
Fair Isle knitting is what
Fair
it's
Isle
the,
knitting.
but
Okay,
there's
that's the
other,
method. Okay.
maybe it's more technically correct to just call it like stranded knitting, or I think Fair Isle is like probably specifically
To that
Irish,
era
I
or
think,
whatever.
you know, like
yeah.
to that locale. And, you know, there's
Okay,
Icelandic
yeah.
knitting is stranded too. Like that sweater that I knitted Larkin in there is
Mhm.
actually an Icelandic sweater. So
That's so amazing. That's
I'm
so...
probably using terminology not
Oh,
entirely
okay.
correctly,
No.
but
That's quite all right. I make shit up, so at least you're using something that's supposed to be.
yeah.
I know, you know that thing that
someone
you
will
do.
call us on it though. They'll be like, "Well, technically, that is."
So far, we have not had assholes listening to our podcast. So if you're an asshole, just keep your fucking mouth shut. We don't want to hear it. But so far, people have been very nice about that.
Well, I mean, you know what's weird is it just now dawned on me the history of knitting, and
It's
just
amazing and
historically
overwhelming a little bit when
how
you think
important
about it.
it has been to the human race
Uh-huh.
to have clothes to wear, and like,
Yeah,
I just
I mean,
then I never thought about, well, how did they get that shit done back then when they do have 50 million
That's
other
how,
things
and-
to do?
you familiar with
that's
drop
amazing.
spindles for spinning? I mean, women
Yeah.
totally used those while they were walking.
Mm-hmm.
They would be
My
spinning.
husband, I saw this
Cool.
shirt that said crochet is a post-apocalyptic skill or so. I don't remember. It's anyway. I thought it was a funny shirt, and he's like, "Oh yeah, what are you going to go to the yarn store in the apocalypse?" I'm like, "No, I'm going to knit you a fucking hat, or crochet you a hat out of some straw so your fucking big orange head doesn't sunburn." How do you think they did it before there were yarn stores? Don't be an a-hole. And he's like, "Oh, I never thought of that." It's like, didn't think.
Yeah, this is what people did. I mean, this is...
Yeah.
We've kind of fetishized it almost. Like, we've made
Yeah.
this thing, which is cool. It's
Well,
cool to do things with intention. And I'm sure that women did things, lots of women probably did things with as much intention as they could, but at the end of the day, it was like a
It was
functional,
because
practical
yeah.
art. Like,
Yeah.
You had to
needed
have clothes.
Yeah.
That's what you had to have.
Like in the Depression, all those flour sacks
Yeah.
that was making dresses out of, and figuring out
Yeah.
patterns that would like fit in a flour sack. And I mean,
It was born of necessity.
yeah.
I thought that was sweet that they actually did that. They started using printed fabrics for the flour sacks so that women could use them
Isn't it cool?
as dresses.
I
I
don't
think that's
understand.
so awesome.
We have to compartmentalize everything now.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
someone in China has to make our clothes so that we have more time to watch television.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah, exactly.
and
So
we
have
can
more
throw away
time
our
to
flour,
waste.
flour
Yeah.
sacks, and we can go to the fabric store and pick
Yeah.
out, like, specifically created coordinating fabric collections
Yeah.
for... But I don't know.
I think it's crazy
Yeah.
to me. That was kind of my focus in graphic design school, where I wanted to go with it, was surface design
Mm-hmm.
and textile specific. I don't know if you're familiar with Spoon Flower.
I am. I was just looking at
And
it
then,
today.
but you know what though? I'm pretty bummed out about Spoon Flower now because it's pretty fucking expensive fabric.
Yeah,
Like,
I needed some lawn to make a nightgown when I was looking at it, but it was going to be a
it's nice
$30
fabric, but
yard
still,
project.
yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not going to pay $30 a yard. It's not. If I were a wealthy woman, I would. But
Not for that fabric.
no. But it is kind of cool though, and it was neat. I've made a few fabrics and ordered test swatches of what I've designed on there and stuff. It's pretty freaking neat because if you have, I
haven't bought anything.
I
From there
don't
yet.
excel at drawing digitally, but
Okay.
what I do is do my illustrations by hand
And then you
and scan them into
Well, that's
Illustrator
what I was thinking
and then
of
make
when-
adjustments to them and do the pattern repeat and all that. And then you just upload that file right to Spoonflower and you're like, nice.
That's
So
what I
the
was
quality
thinking
of the
when-
printing and everything is, and it's got a nice
Beautiful.
hand with the printing.
Very beautiful quality. I was really impressed, especially because last year or the year before they changed their color chart, the way they do their colors.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, like, I just ordered a big thing of their, you that big thing hanging on my wall with the
yeah.
swatch samples and the hex codes for your digital.
So they do that instead of Pantone?
Yeah. And I don't know, I think the colors are richer, like what I ordered before then and what I have now. And it's amazing though. I did make one dress out of my first design. And now I look at it and I go, but that was when that was like 5-6 years ago when I was first in graphic design school and I was learning to use the software. But I did make a dress of it. But I have other, like, you can just order your test swatches of them and it's like,
Well, I can
not
think
that
That really makes
expensive.
$30 a yard seem, I mean, to get you
pretty
don't have
amazing.
any other access to that.
No.
Yeah, and that's what I keep thinking of your idea of using your illustrations and fibers with
That's
them.
why I
I'm
was
like,
going to mention it earlier.
I'm imagining it, your illustration printed on fabric.
Yeah,
and
I
then
thought
you being
about
able to sew on top
Designing
of
something
it.
and ordering it from there, but I haven't done it. But
And your stuff would
Yeah.
probably
It's
sell
pretty
on that
neat.
too.
You know, again, that's a thing that I was disappointed in.
But it's so saturated. There's too
it's
many.
pretty saturated.
yeah.
And there are, like, it's a cool girls club or, like, a cool kids club. Like, there are people who are, like, they're always the featured designer. And because they do a lot. This is what they do. They produce a lot. And I just feel like it's hard to get noticed. It's kind of like the Etsy thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to get noticed when you're one in so many.
Yeah.
And I'm not a super great self-promoter.
No. Yeah, I really mixed it. I left Etsy. I sold
I left
cloth
Etsy, too.
menstrual pads on Etsy forever, which sold on, for some reason they did well on it. People found them on Etsy. Like
I think that there are probably not a lot of them on
selling
Etsy.
things like jewelry on Etsy where
Fuck
you are
that
one in a
shit.
sea. Like, how do you even search for jewelry anyway?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
See, that's
Yeah.
where I was doing. I was doing my hand-bound journals.
And now they have mass
And-
produced stuff mixed in.
well,
so
and
Yeah.
that's what
really-
ultimately I was done with Etsy. I was paying a ton of money to sell there, and all that mass-produced bullshit there. There's like pads being made in China that
Yeah.
are undercutting me, and
Yep.
yeah, Etsy can go fuck themselves.
Well, and it's just so
they're following the money.
it's so fucking saturated now too. There's like the marketplace is even paying to have your stuff
Yes,
featured.
that-
It never made a fucking difference for me. It was just money out of my pocket.
It was getting to where like that stuff was novel at first and boosted sales, and
Yeah.
then it just became the baseline of what you had to do.
Yep. No.
Mhm.
No,
I
and
just-
yarn, I never had much success there. I
Mhm.
just because, and you know, people have pointed this out, and I don't know why it didn't occur to me quicker. Like, honestly, why would you want to sell your stuff in a marketplace with your competitors? Really?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's
Like,
true.
why? That's not. Who does that?
Because you have your own website now, right? That you sell through.
I have a shop on Store Envy, which I like
Oh,
Store
okay.
Envy. I mean, as far as it's free, it's got enough features, and you can get themes for it and blah, blah, blah. But no, I am currently I have been working on a blog on WordPress, like WordPress.org.
Mhm.
And now I have a WooCommerce store that I'm making. Like, it'll go live next month. And that's a whole, like, I don't know. I'm obsessed with doing everything myself, and I'm broke too.
I know it's true. I do WordPress for all my blogs. That's what our
I've had to like learn all this crap.
website
and
is.
I just learned InDesign to have a bunch of... I'm doing letterpress tags for my yarn now, and I figured out a way to hack letterpress at home. Nice. So I had to figure out InDesign to order truly color separated play. Anyway, everything I do ends up being this uphill battle of I need to learn Illustrator. I can't not know Illustrator for any longer. I'm tired of mucking through Illustrator.
I can send you some links to some really good tutorials for Illustrator that helped me in graphic design school.
That would be nice. I know Photoshop really well, but Illustrator is... I have to use it part of the time, and it's painful.
But no, I'll send you some really great links because I struggled with it, but I love it now. I like it more than Photoshop. I use Illustrator
it's for totally different things.
Things.
I've been using Photoshop way past what I should be using Photoshop for forever because I'm intimidated by Illustrator. But it's everything I go to do is this huge project of learning how to be a graphic designer and a printmaker and all this stuff.
There's some really great tutorials. I'll send them to you.
That would be fantastic.
Because it's very helpful. Well, I wanted to know a little bit about your yarn dyeing process. What is...
Yeah, me too.
Where do you... beginning to end product, what do you do to get your yarn out there into the world?
Well, I buy it. It's just undyed yarn from the mill. And I only do protein fiber yarns because I use acid dyes, and that's all they work on.
What is a protein fiber yarn?
Wool, silk, just animal fibers,
not
essentially,
man-made,
and not plant fibers, not cellulose. No cotton, no linen, no rayon, are all cellulose fibers.
Okay,
and there's a different dye that works on those, and I know how to use it. I used it a lot in school, but it would just be a different process, and I haven't, which sucks because I can't dye linen yarn, which is sad. So maybe someday, but. I use acid dyes, so use them with heat. So I dye in a big pot. I use warm and cool primary colored dyes, and I mix on the fly everything. So my colorways are pretty much impossible to repeat.
Yeah,
and I do there's a lot of layering of colors. I do a lot of complementaries over each other to get grays and such, which gives me a lot of complexity in my yarn, but it makes a really unwieldy process for standardizing anything ever.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. It spends a couple hours in the pot while I'm pouring dye on it. I organize my yarn pretty specifically so I can get my colors spread evenly throughout my skeins so that you should be able to just switch between skeins in a project and everything should look the same, which kind of the traditional kettle dyeing thing of throwing everything in a big deep pot and you get a lot of even with Malabrigo yarns and stuff as you look at them and the skeins don't match up very well. So within a dye lot I do pretty good with that, but people are always wanting me to repeat colorways and
technically speaking, even stuff that's done in a factory,
right?
If you don't have the same dye lot, it's a little different. You're not going to get the same exact
other
thing.
hand dyers that repeat colorways. I think it's just understood that they're not exact. But for me, it's even worse. I will set out to repeat colorways for people sometimes, and what I get is not even. And so it's not really a thing.
So how many skeins of yarn are you getting per dye batch?
I can only do 5 or 6
at this point right now.
At some point, I have a whole strategy for changing my studio setup, and then I'll be able to do a lot more. Because I really, to cater to sweater knitters, which I'm a sweater knitter, so it's sad that I'm not catering to them more. I really need to be able to do lots of 10 or 20 skeins.
I was going to say, it takes a lot of yarn to do.
And you can knit. I do a lot of fingering weight yarns, and if you want to knit sweaters and cardigans out of finger weight yarn, you can do it out of 4 or 5 skeins.
Yeah.
But with heavier yarns like the Aran weights and stuff,
it takes
5 skeins is not enough. So that's something that needs to happen. But yeah, I dye about a release for me of a certain yarn, which I'm doing every week or every other week, is usually about 50 skeins.
And then you do. You were saying you knit a sample or a...
I have been trying to actually knit a project with a lot of my releases.
And then you post this on your blog?
Yeah.
Or just in your store?
Or I've been putting it on Facebook, but it's going to start going on the blog. My blog and my store are going to become completely... And my blog has not even hardly been a thing. Nobody knows about it. I've been kind of playing with it, and I haven't publicized it because I'm not
You're not there yet.
No, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. And pretty soon it's going to be way more integrated, and that there's going to be... Because I haven't knitted... I mean, I dye my yarns. I know enough about my yarns. I know that I've been really selective about the yarns I choose. I can tell they don't have knots. They have great joins. They're super consistent. But there's other information you get from spending 50 hours knitting something about, how things are they splitty? Are they... how much do they... Like this yarn I'm working with now, it's really kind of hard in the skein and tightly wound, and it's just blooming into this amazing halo as I'm knitting it, and I totally didn't see that coming.
Oh, wow.
So that's really good information to know. So, I mean, it's been a long time coming that I need to have knitted all of my yarns instead of part of them. So, yeah, so I'm taking part of a colorway, knitting a project, putting it all up for sale, including the rest of that colorway. It's good to see what... I think people get kind of fixated on having skeins, buying skeins of yarn that look really great in the skein with big splashes of color. But in my opinion, like, the things that knit up the most beautifully are a lot more subtle than that.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's hard to understand looking at a skein how it's going to knit up. So obviously test knitting is so important, but it's hard to find the time to do that.
Yeah.
And it's not like I could get a knitting machine and I could test knit everything, but it's not really practical to be swatching everything when you're not even repeating colorways.
No,
but at least in general, I'm trying to, it's time to make people understand that boring skeins, they even surprised me. The one I'm knitting right now, I thought it was too boring out of the pot, and I'm, thrilled with how it's knitting up. Every stitch is, this different shade, and...
That's amazing.
Cool.
I love that.
It is so... I love
I know, we'll have to look at that when we're done.
Yeah, I'll show you
I
that one.
see.
I am stoked by that yarn. I took it to California and showed it to someone, and she was looking at the whole box of yarn, and she focused in on that one, which that's how I felt too. But I feel like when I put that online, it's going to be meh, that's brown. No,
yeah, that's one thing that kind of sucks about. I love the convenience of being able to sell things online,
right?
But the trouble that I had, when I was doing my hand-bound journals, the mixed media artwork that I do is really heavily textured.
Totally.
And the texture is part of what makes it what it is.
I walked through a yarn store with my hands out.
Everything.
I'm touching everything.
So I think that sometimes our work does not translate when all you can see is a flat
it is not
image
ideal.
of it.
Not ideal at all.
There's a thing that's
nuance.
missing, and I think that people forget that when they're looking at stuff going, meh. They're not weighing all of what they're missing into it.
No.
You see what I mean? Yeah.
And they get sticker shock, but the sticker shock doesn't last if you actually sit
No,
down with a
you're
variety of
using yarn.
And eventually,
nice.
I think a lot of people get to a place, I know I did, it's if I'm going to spend 100 hours on this, the
You're
$200 of yarn, that's
No.
inconsequential to me.
No.
The 200 hours is insane. So,
Yeah. Totally. And for me, that would be I don't even know how to calculate those hours.
I know people always ask about selling your knitting, but not a thing.
Oh my God.
No,
Everybody.
My friend put a punny calculator up, and it's okay, do you want $1,500?
Yeah, it is
I'll
a
make you
labor
one.
of love.
Yeah.
And that's it. Textile arts in general is really difficult to sell. People are accustomed to prices from China.
Yes.
I mean, you can hand weave amazing things, but they don't fundamentally look a lot different than what you can go get at World Market for $10. And which is kind of why I've ended up gravitating toward the yarn. It's not like I haven't entertained selling hand knits, but much better to sell the supply.
I have
people
friends
put their
that are like that. My brother's like that. He's like, why don't you sell this? You could make money. And I'm like, how much would you pay for that in the store? How much would you, if you looked at this hat, for instance, how much would you pay for this hat in the store? And he said, I don't know, $15. I'm like, that is how much I spent on the yarn, almost.
Right. Yeah.
Now you've got...
How much an hour do you think that I should earn?
8 hours and a hat, maybe.
For making a hat. How much time should I be paying myself?
Yeah.
People don't like to, unless if you can, I don't know, somebody dies and you can get a spot at Saturday Market where people go looking for stuff like that and prepared mostly to pay prices like that.
I mean, and there's definitely, I mean, there are people out there who care and who do pay, but...
Like those pillows that our friend posted a picture of the, it was a little boutique in California, and they hand embroidered, you know, like those silly bandanas you used to get, they would be like California, and it'd have like pictures of all the different, you know, touristy things or whatever, but someone was hand embroidering those and making them into pillows and selling them for $500.
Yeah, it was a lot. I was like,
$500.
whoa.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's... Even that, who knows? Because that was beautiful.
They put their time into that.
Yeah, and
yeah,
I could see it in a little fancy, in Santa Barbara or something, you know, that maybe Oprah would want one of those.
I always feel like, there's almost no one who could pay $500 for a pillow, which is totally untrue. Like, there are people that do.
No, it's true.
To me, it seems impossible, but
Yeah,
no, you always want to make your prices way too low. And
that's where I'm very bad at pricing art.
It's terrible.
It's like I need to hire someone to do it for me. Because
and you really, you have to do the thing. You have to figure out, your wage and what it costs you, and you have to double it at the end. Or else you can never, you always have to sell direct. You can never put it in a gallery
at a retail price.
And that is the hardest thing I think that I struggle with, and other people I know struggle with, is that doubling of it. It seems wrong.
I know, and then you run into
But then you realize you buy a bottle of shampoo that's mostly water for anyway.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, wait, okay, I don't feel so bad anymore.
No. Well, and then again, you go into situations like Etsy where people who don't get that.
Right.
They don't understand the pricing. They don't.
No,
they just
everyone
want to
is
sell
selling
shit.
Well, Etsy is wholesale, essentially.
So they're dropping below you and undercutting you, and then you're like, I will never in that situation. That's why I fucking hate it.
This is what happened with the pads I was making on Etsy. I was selling them on Etsy wholesale, essentially, and at some point, if I was going to survive at doing this and turn it into a real wage, I needed to expand, and I needed to be able to wholesale them, and there was no margins to do it. The cap was reached, and Etsy made it, and I tried to avoid that with yarn, but it's still the same thing. There's no true wholesale source for us indie dyers. We get 40% at best instead of 50% off, unless you can order a whole ton of yarn straight from the mill, literally a ton of yarn.
That's where I
buy the ton.
I tried to make when my son was in preschool. Cool I made superhero capes all the time because I could make a badass superhero cape. So there was this really cute store in Selwood that had stuff like that and just cute shit. And they wanted to sell some of my capes, but they have to mark up so they can make their profit. And I just couldn't get my prices low enough that they could carry them and mark them up to what they needed to by their percentage, because I was a stay-at-home mom with a 3-year-old. I did not have the resources to buy bolts and bolts, a huge loads to get that discount.
It's hard.
You have to be able to buy a lot.
I don't go in debt to do anything. I have very little cash to deal with. It's really difficult to grow. I mean,
it's funny. I think that's something that people should really keep in mind when they're going to buy handmade items and they get sticker shock. Is most craft people are people like you and I. We live month to month. We have trouble making our rent sometimes.
And we have to invest, you have to invest all of our time and supplies and everything based on potentially no return.
We have to
do all the learning and the prototyping and doing it, put it out there and just hope. And how much of that can you do?
Well, and it's okay, if you went to college to learn a skill, people pay you because you went to college to learn that skill. You make a certain wage. You wouldn't accept less.
No. And we need to just be steadfast in our pricing. That makes sense. And there's a bunch of people that won't ever purchase them. That's okay, because there's all kinds of amazing people who will
that support and understand.
Are totally stoked by what they know that they are getting.
Yes. Yes, that's true. And they would
I have insanely loyal customers that are amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was going to say, I bet you do have a with yarn there. I feel like there's a potential for
once
real
they
customer
use it and they love
loyalty.
it.
I have a very small customer base.
And
they're
they're
very loyal.
always with you. Yeah. I feel
What do
like
you think they do with it? Do you think they make projects
do
for
they ever share with you?
themselves,
Like
or
stuff
like-
that
Yeah.
that must be kind of
cool,
cool to
yeah.
see stuff that they've made and be like, oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I check out their Ravelry pages, and yeah, it's totally fun to see what people are doing. I mean, there's always an inherent... artists are insecure. Like, part of me always
we
dreads
are.
going to look because...
Which amazes me because people are so talented.
it's terrible. We always,
Yeah.
like, hate
We're
everything
our
we
worst,
do on
our
some
worst
level.
critics. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that
Like
being
on a
said,
soul-crushing level
on a
sometimes.
soul-crushing level, like I
Like,
feel
I
anxiety.
should stop fucking doing this.
Uh-huh.
Suck
Oh my
shit
God,
all
my-
the time.
My sister-in-law, we
imagine
were
you
in
feeling
Portland,
that.
and she's like, "Oh, let's go to a yarn store," because she thought I would want to go in a yarn store. But the truth is, I don't go in yarn stores
No,
anymore.
because you go in there and compare what you do.
I went in
to
there
what-
and had a crisis over a wall of Malabrigo yarn. I'm like, because that's kind of the yarn that made me start. Like, I thought their yarns were so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I was standing there, and I haven't gone in a yarn store in so long, and I was looking, and it's like, oh my God, they're still better dyers than I am. Like, they're still so much better than I am. Like, what the fuck? I thought I was good.
No, I do the same thing. I think everybody does it.
And I came home, and I'm
Everything.
like, I'm going to dye something a lot like that colorway. Like, that's incredible. Like, I should be doing more things like that. And it came out of the pot brown. Just brown. Like, this incredibly
And you're
complex
just like, well,
bunch of
fuck
colors.
this.
And I'm like, wow, I really do suck. But now I'm knitting it up, and I'm
Is that
like,
the one that you're
that's
surprised
the one
about?
I'm totally in love with. But it's just, it's my style. Like, that is what I like. I mean, I'm never going to be Malabrigo. And that's okay.
And that
Sure
is
you,
okay,
that's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and
But
then-
it's
so
still
they probably
that-
do
that
big,
complete
huge
crisis.
batches, right? I mean, is that like a more?
Yeah, they're in,
I don't know brands and stuff, so I don't.
they're in South America.
South
I want to say
America?
Argentina, but I don't know if that's right.
Okay.
Like, Uruguay.
So
I
what?
forget, but
What is your brand name? Is it just
Wanton Fibers.
Wanted Fibers? I already asked you that.
Well, it's not. It wouldn't necessarily be my brand name, but it is my brand name. I mean, my different yarns have different names, different reasons, but no, that's the one. No, I'm just tiny.
Yeah.
I have so little traffic. I mean, it is a testament to how loyal my customers are that I sell as much yarn as I do, because there's really not a lot of traffic through my store on any given day. Just a few dozen people.
Listeners, hit her up for some yarn. That's what you should do.
Yeah, go check it out.
So, and is it wantedfibers.com? Is
Yeah.
that the site? Yeah. And again, I'm going to take some pictures of some stuff before we leave.
Mm-hmm.
and
Have some links.
We'll have some links and shit, yo. But we should probably wrap her up.
Yeah, I guess.
Thank you so much. This
Yeah,
is awesome.
thank you,
This was
Rachel.
fun.
So awesome. I
I'm
learned lots
excited.
of things.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't know knitting, so
And I'm
fascinated by it.
I really want to be that good at knitting.
I know
But
the
I want it
lacy
to
ends
happen.
on that scarf.
I want like knitting fairies to sprinkle their magic dust on me while I'm sleeping, and then I'll wake up in the morning and be like, "Boom! I can knit."
Or like the Matrix, just download the ability into
Yeah.
your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in reality, the road is paved with holy sweaters.
And on that note, we will be back next week with some shit. Yeah.
That's
I don't know
right.
what we're doing.
I don't even.
I have no fucking idea what's happening in March.
And time marches on.
It does all over your fucking face.
All I know is we have to beware of the middle of it.
Yep.
I know.
All right. Well, until next week, make some cool shit, yo.
Or do it now. Good morning, Katie. This is your friend. I'm recording on the new Tascam. I'm trying to figure out what the buttons do, but every once in a while I take a break to poo.